it stops. And it just stops. Right. Well, welcome everybody to season 2, episode 41 of the Plastic Crack podcast. And as you might tell, today we are a man down. We're not entirely sure.
Oh, sorry.
We're not entirely sure where he's gone, but we've replaced him for today, and we are joined by Mr. Simon Miller, author of To the Strongest and owner of Big Red Bat Ventures. So thank you very much for joining us. We're going to be chatting about
to be here.
To the Strongest, rules, bases, why it's called Big Red Bat. That's a question. and of course, all the normal bits as well. So below me, we've got Dom from Boots on the Table. Below that way, we've got Steve, whose name is now No Germans. And to my that way, we have Simon. So evening, everyone. How are you all doing?
Very well, thanks.
Absolutely brilliant for a Monday.
Very, very spiffing indeed.
Spiffing. Yes. Well, we've got quite a few people in the chat already, so I'll skip down. So hello, so we've got Leslie. You were here first. Hello, mate. How are you doing? We've got Tim, Roger's Company, Corey, P. Neil, 7th. Oh no, that was me replying. Lazy Pirate Painted. How you doing? How you doing, bud? Rascalas 2, Carl Burks. Lionheart, Cole Merritt's here. Hello, Meta. How you doing? Bill Roy. Bill said he's had a great day. He's done a Ken. He went to the Quacks for a flu jab and got it, and then got a free 15-drawer metal filing cabinet for free from the doctors. Fantastic. Is that for putting an army in? Surely that's it.
Is that from IKEA?
Yes.
Bill, come on, that's one.
Oh no! I rewatched that episode where we were just talking about IKEA. I think we should have timed it and sent them a bill for sponsorship. We really did. Dave Baker, Benjamin Christensen, Brushworks, Ham and Jam, Louis Baby, East Norfolk's Rich John, Jim Friday, Louis Baby, all the sixes. Day KZ69, managed to say that without tripping my words. Well, I know we've got some people from the States in here. We've got someone from Los Angeles, St. Michael and All Angels Studio City. Hello, how are you doing? Luke Farrell's here, Yorkshire Dragoon. I'm not going to go through everyone. Drew from Tenement Tabletop, Evil Jim Reaper, Lee Gardner, and everybody else, hello, because otherwise I'll be here for ages. There's already loads of you, Grana Prigo, Sam Ferguson, Little Legions, Battle Matt. You're all here. I'm not going to be able to keep up. And so there we go. And then the last one, Simon Boyle. Where's Ken? We don't know.
Nobody knows. He's probably in a
we know he exists. It's like the Yeti. We know he exists because he made this template. You've seen his footprints, so we know he exists. he made the overlay, came on, turned on the overlay, and then disappeared. So I assume he's on call. Maybe he'll join us later on. Hopefully he can. So, of course, how's everyone's week been since last week's stream?
I've had a good week, I think. Yeah.
All right. Should we just start this off, because a good week for you probably means you've painted like 3 armies.
No, I haven't even talked about that yet. No, my shed's got its floor down. Its walls are all painted. It's all coming together, and I'm even starting to put together the table to go in there. So it's brilliant.
Who painted it? Who painted it?
Oh, obviously not me, because if I had it done, it would have been a slapdash as my figures are. So no,
it'd have been done in 5 minutes. You could have knocked out your gaming.
True. I think the guy who did it in about 5 minutes, to be fair. So there you go.
Did he use one of those things? The electric.
Yeah, I thought I was trying to get. That would have been quite good, wouldn't it? A glorified airbrush.
Oh dear. Well, actually, because Ken's not here, thank you to everybody that's watching this on the replay, and of course, you can see all of our channels down below as well as the Facebook page. We're sleeping outside for an. Shall I just tell him now? So Ken got quite excited about the Epic Warlord release, which is on pre-order.
Quite excited.
And on our private message group, I got slightly worried about what was going to happen, so I rang him and basically staged an intervention. Just to call it what I rang him from site, and my first was just do not press buy. Step away from the pre-order. So
that's probably why he isn't here this week, because he's so upset that you've
caused. It's probably sad. It's probably sad.
It's very, very sad. I mean,
oh, bless him. I didn't want to ruin his fun, but it wasn't that. It's like he's moving house. I was like, no, we need to save his relationship. Because she will. Like
Laura is
if
very
Laura-
understanding, but she would absolutely have his balls in a little bag by the end of that.
I know, which also is, if he had done it, would have had some great blackmail material for for getting him to do some things later. Anyway, we should move on. Dom, as you didn't get to give it last week, what have you been up to this week?
Oh, hang on. Right, put that down. Quiet week. It's a quiet week for me. No, it hasn't been a quiet week at all. Let me find what I did. So I went trawling through the recesses of my pile of shame and found some ghouls. So I did them. They are awful. I hate them. They're horrible though. They're the warlords.
Are they the warlord ones?
They are the warlord horrible things. Do you know, mind you, I was playing a game at the club on Friday night of Infamy, and somebody had very kindly let me join his British army to take on the dastardly Romans, and I was talking about how I hated these figures, and I looked down, his entire army was made of them, but they were actually really nicely done as opposed to mine. They're just a bitch to put together. It's the halves that's fitting the torso into the legs. I just don't.
Yeah,
like
they're quite an old kit now, aren't they? They've got to be older than God's dog.
I think they are, and they've got they have a lot of flash on them as well, which just drives me insane. So yeah,
I haven't done any of those. The only celts I've painted are at 15 mil, so they're the only ones I've ever done.
They're all right. They're all right. So
is that it? Is that all you did?
No.
Oh,
come on.
I think I showed this on the Facebook page because definitely PTP is just getting to me.
Yes, I wanted to ask you about this because I didn't comment on it and I didn't comment on your video, but why? What were you doing?
Yeah,
I was so confused. I mean, I love it. I think it's brilliant. I love a demon, but
I just want to second what Martin just said. I struggled. Why? What?
Do you know? I have absolutely no idea, guys. I bought it on a Kickstarter, and I don't know why I bought it on a Kickstarter. I saw it and I thought, oh, that'd be fun. So I bought it, and then it arrived the other day, and it sat on my table, and I thought, I'll just make it up and see what it looks like, and made it up, and before I knew it, I'd painted it, and I thought, oh, all right then. I have no idea what I'm going to do with it, but it was kind of fun, so I did that.
Only Dom can say before I knew it, I'd painted it. Because I look at things and then it takes.
It's not that complicated. It's just a bit of red and washes and blues and stuff.
I really like the base. Is that loads of skulls? I mean,
it is. It comes. I don't know if you can see it properly. But hang on, let me show a picture there. Yeah, they're molded on. So you just sort of. So I used some of that Vallejo muddy stuff and built up around it, and then use the skulls there. So yeah, it's good. It's good fun. Enjoyed it. So I won't be doing that. So I had to go and wash my mouth out and do something a bit more sensible. So I did.
Oh yes.
Oh yes.
I did the old bloody miniatures. Simon's.
That's that new range, isn't it? They're excellent.
Yeah, they are. They are lovely. Dom, I know we chatted a little bit, didn't we, Dom? And I really do like.
I love that guy in the blast armor. It's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah.
I just had that. I know they're all different packs, but I just thought I'm going to have them as one unit, and I'm going to make them my sort of storming party. So they're like the Dirty Dozen or Dirty 16. They've been drawn from all different units in the army to go and take on the breach, and that's why I've done them like that. So,
I mean, had we done? No, it hadn't come last week. But I could say, I feel, I know, and again, we spoke about this, that these models, because I know you hate assembly.
Yeah.
So and these are obviously metal, and the quality of those casts, especially the chaps there, like with the two guns and the two swords like sticking out, they are brilliant models. They are fantastic.
Yeah.
Really well done, and as you said, they've the quality control of them brilliant, because sometimes you get these one casts, the metal, bent swords and bent muskets and that, and none of them were. They were absolutely brilliant. So yeah, really enjoyed doing them. And then I've got back to doing the rest of my 3D prints. So these are the Caballero, Caballero Knights.
They are
so nice.
Is that the seed in the middle?
So that's El Cid in the middle.
Yeah.
On his black horse
those.
I put him on.
They're
just brilliant. So that's the final 5 that I've got.
They're on the list. So have you got all the cavalry? Have you got all of the cavalry?
I've got all the cavalry now. Yeah, so that's.
He's got 11. Some more. He's just done some more, though, hasn't he?
I know he has, but they're not the same period. Actually, he's done one standard bearer, but the rest of them are from a different. They're Goths or something, aren't they? I think Visigoths. They're so good. I've actually signed up as a Patreon for them because I just thought they're just such lovely models. I could actually spend my whole time just painting them. To be honest,
they are fantastic. You've done a brilliant job with those.
So that's what I've been
buying them. Are you buying them printed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A chap called Graham. What's the company called?
Grey Green Customs.
Grey Green Customs. He's got the license to print them, so he does them all. But what I love about him, he's got real good quality control on them. So when they come, I might have ordered a few more, Martin. And he sent me
I might have spent some more as well before I even painted the other ones.
He sent me this message and said, I printed them out and I was just about to post them. I discovered there was a slight fault with one of the figures, so I'm just going to redo it for you and send it back out. But he cleans them all up, takes all the supports off them, washes them. So when they arrive, you're literally they're ready to go.
Terrific.
Absolutely beautiful figures. The only slight criticism I have of them, they don't have a base. So you have, and the horses, particularly those riders, are the horses in such dynamic poses that there's generally only two little toe bits of the hooves touching the ground, and it's quite difficult to actually get them to stick solidly. But
you have to put a pin in drill a pin.
If I was really clever, Simon, I would do that. But as these guys will know, I'll do anything quickly just to get it done, and a bit of super glue and building up some of the Vallejo mud around it, and that's as far as it goes.
I've got to say that this isn't meant to be as a critic, but they are some of the best models I've seen you paint. They're fantastic. Yeah, they are brilliant.
It bodes really well for the future, doesn't it?
It does.
Once some other designers get onto this, get really into historicals in the prints like that, it'll be fantastic.
I mean, I don't know if you've seen other stuff this guy's done, Simon, but he's got some camel riders that I did.
I was looking at those. I was looking at those last week, thinking, "Gosh, I just need an excuse to use some of those camel riders."
I think the camel riders are the excuse to do the project.
That was why I did it. I wrote a Tuareg list for my rules, and I thought, I wonder who does a nice camel. And then I started, as you do, getting distracted, looking at all the camels out there. Like I need an army of nomad camel riders, like I need a hole in the head. But I ended up with those, and I was thinking those were the ones I would definitely go for if I was going to do it.
Without trying to jump ahead to the news, but this is his next one.
Yes, I saw.
Grey Green's already got those, and I just want I just want the kneeling guys, and I want to just do an objective base or a camp scene at the back with just loads of guys kneeling in front of the crowd. I mean, I'm going to Dom, get rid of it because I'm going to buy it. I'm just going to go and buy it. Just get rid of it.
Yeah, I'm with you, mate.
Even the elements, like the draft horses, they're just lovely.
They're just
really
beautiful.
Lovely,
and
they're so light as well.
Yeah, and he's designed them. He said just so they could be used as like that as the religious, whatever they call it in the Spanish period, but also as a cart horse. If you just wanted to use it as a cart for your scenery and what have you, fantastic. Really, really well done. Beautiful models. Anyway, so
nice. Is that your week?
That's it for the moment. Yeah. I did do an elephant, but I'll leave that to Steve because he did a better elephant than me. So my crew aren't finished on mine. So
on that note, Steve, I think you need to start with your elephant, mate, because there's I think you just need to lead with that. Can you tell them about how you actually got an elephant to start with, or how this whole thing started?
We were discussing it at CrackCon, and I thought, those are Victrix elephants. I wonder if I could turnip them up. And, well, let's have a look. This is... let's see if I can find them.
Oh, Jesus.
This is amazing. This is when you put this up. This is glorious. You may have to explain what turnip is.
All right, I will do. Okay, so I'll show the elephant first because
you've explained turnip about 15 times in my earshot, and I still have no idea what you're talking about. But carry on. So
there's the elephant.
That's glorious.
So that's an elephant with a sniper in the turret.
Jesus.
And there's another shot. So as you'll see, he's a musket sniper person. Yeah, I'll just leave that up. So I wanted to make it a bit not elephant looking. So what I did, I replaced the tail with a Skaven tail, and that fit really, really well. And it's already got the growths and the roots growing out of its back. But then I thought, what else can I do to make it a bit different? So I got some green stuff and I sculpted on those boils.
Yes.
They are fantastic.
Because I want them to look a bit grim and gross looking. But yeah, I'm actually quite chuffed with how that turned out.
Yeah.
I think that is some insane, glorious kit.
I have no idea what it's about.
I love that kit. I still think it was one of, and I've done it as Carthaginian, got all that, but you mad bastard, that's absolutely.
I love the way that the rider's in stealth gear on the top of that house.
Oh, he's not. No, he's in armor. He's in
armor, is it?
It's med.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I see.
I will explain. So, in 30 seconds or less, I've become rather enamored with a game stroke ethos background called Turnip 28, which it's a rule set and background created by a dude called Max Fitzgerald. And it's set 1,000 years in the future after the Napoleonic Wars, where constant war as technology has just stopped, has stagnated. Countless wars have turned the countryside into mud, but a strange root is now growing all over the earth. But Turnip 28 is set in a county called Sist, and humans of
Dom's face.
Humans
I was about 16, 17 times. I still don't understand it. Carry on. Sorry.
So the humans have they harvest and consume this root, which causes mutations. They grow roots. They grow like tubers. They grow and it affects their minds. So you've got these armies and religious cults that are using sort of black powder weapons. They're all battered and rickety and crap. And that's what the game is. I just love everything about it. In fact, I am now a patron of Turnip 28.
So you're causing more of this madness. To be fair, I joined in because it's just with all the bits you got left over. That's what I think it's amazing. But you've got some more.
Yeah, I've got another one. But when I sat down, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this because I didn't want it to look like just I'd taken a kit and just made the kit. So I battered it all up and I did bits. And it took me about 2 weeks to do that. But yeah, I'm quite glad. But there's more Turnip on the way.
Oh, thank God for that.
What else I finished last week was this. So that's
yes.
That's my first unit of fodder. So these are basically poor bastards that have been conscripted to fight these battles. So the guy at the front, the officer guy with the thing growing at the back of his head. I was actually asked the other day, how did I make that? That's actually Old Guard, Victrix Old Guard that Ken kindly gave to me. So that's a unit of 16. And then I have another unit. These are 2 units, 6 man each. These are called brutes.
Dom levels of productivity.
I know.
There is a Ken.
There is a Ken.
Sorry. How does my mic sound? Because this is going in the bin. I need a new mic. Sorry.
Hello. How are you doing?
Yeah. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
It's a bit,
yeah. You sound...
You're a bit toilety, but that's fine.
So I'm toilety tonight. Sorry.
Toilety. Oh yeah. So these are brutes.
God,
I love the cowboy head you've put on there. That's just brilliant.
So they're 2 separate units, but they're better than fodder. So the brutes are sort of a bit better fighters. But they're, because I'm using what's called the Slug's Lament, they're called grogs. And they're sort of like the Old Guard. So that's
Brilliant.
them. And then another unit. These guys. So these are called chaff, and these are skirmishers.
Chaff.
So they don't have to stay in formation, even though they're crap at shooting. But Dom was secretly happy because to make these, I had to butcher a couple of 4 French figures.
Oi.
Best thing you could ever do with a Frenchie, I reckon.
So they basically the three at the not the guy not the Victrix guy, but the other three, they're three Peri-Voltigeurs with their heads snipped off and replaced with Wars of the Roses helmets.
Mm.
They've got American War of Independence muskets as well. And the guy there, the end guy, he's got a skull because he was killed 100 years ago, but no one's told him yet.
Do you make most of these after you? So for anyone who doesn't, well, obviously you don't know, but Steve sends all these like weird beers that he's going to drink to us in our little chat group. Do you make most of these up after you drink those beers?
No, it's just I honestly with this I don't know where it's like I mean that thing that I posted tonight in the Facebook group, I've got no idea where that came from. The one I'm working on tonight. But what else? I think I've got another one as well somewhere. Oh yeah, this is the completed. Cheers, Mezza. It's grown since then, but that's the army so far.
That's just awesome. That is fantastic.
That's fun. It's different.
So that's
my lordy.
That's a 2 units of grogs, 2 toadies, a toff, and a unit of fodder.
Wow, fantastic. Well, now Simon, what the army you were working on was it was Franco-Dutch, wasn't it? At the moment, is that?
Oh, it is. Yeah. I bought some figures. I can't remember who off about 4 years ago from the 1672 range that North Star now have. They're copplestone figures or copplestone sculpts, and just sometimes it happens that when you really should be painting one thing, you have this frantic urge to paint hundreds of something else. And I'm kind of in that mode at the moment. And the army, in my imagination, it's achieving huge numerical numbers of battalions. I think I've got like 40 battalions planned and 30 units of cavalry, but only 2 painted. One of those hasn't got the standards yet. So yeah, I've got I'm doing I thought I'd pick a really obscure war that no one has ever heard of, or indeed has got any interest in, which is the Franco-Dutch War of the 1670s, and do that because they're lovely figures. It's really obscure. There's a real charm to the copplestone sculpts. I don't know how to put a picture up, or I would do one here, but sometimes I've been planning to do this for like 2 or 3 or 4 years, and I just thought, well, I don't have a game deadline at the moment to deliver. Let's just do something I really want to do with the figures I've already got. A lot of them painted and saved up and stored in boxes. I noticed that Dom's got a load of the Kaiser Rushforth boxes in the back there, and I've got about 30 of those with painted figures. I call them my reserves. Because when I see nice figures on eBay, or people sometimes just contact me and say, look, I'm selling an army, do you want it?
It's not Ken.
Like as not I will. So
I've just nipped onto your blog. Sorry, I've just nipped onto your blog. Is that them?
That's the first unit I did, yes. So
lovely.
I bought
very nice.
Yeah, I bought about 24 of those figures off this guy. He sold me basically 4 units, and a local friend of mine, Dave Millett, has painted me another half dozen. Then I highlighted the original figures and painted on hat bands and brims around the hats, and did a little bit of gentle retouching, and I'm basing them up on my bases there for this future project, because I know that some of you have probably seen the English Civil War stuff I did with the big 24 centimeter wide units. Well, there's going to be a lot more battalions in this scale, so I've done these about 18 centimeters wide, and I hope to do. Well, I've got about 400-500 Dutch figures and quite a lot of French figures, a lot of Swiss for some reason, huge number of Swiss figures, and a fair few British. So I'm Reds. I used the Games Workshop Reds actually. Fiston, Wild
yeah.
Rider. I can't remember what the other one is. There's a slightly orangey red. I usually use those. So I just thought I'll have a little bit of fun. I'll base up a few of these units. I'll prove the principle. I've got another friend that paints a lot of figures for me, and I've painted up a load of. I've painted up like one figure per unit, and given them to him, and he will produce the units, give them back to me, and then I detail them, give them washes, base them up, and another friend of mine flocks them for me. So it can go quite fast if we're all working along in parallel.
But
But it's really
production
interesting, yeah.
line. Can we get that sorted? I'd love to have a team like that. So we could.
You
Steve
don't
could do-
need. You don't
Yeah.
need it.
No, I
it
could
doesn't.
improve my speed even further. I could have Steve doing the basing because he's good at that. He loves all
That's
that.
It's yeah.
they're just fantastic, and obviously we'll come a little out because I think we'll have a chat about what some of the things that you're going to be working on in a little bit. But Ken, thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
What have you got anything of what you've been up to, or can you just show us? I mean, I know one thing you've been doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 6 millimeters high and like.
Oh yeah, it's behind me.
I thought that was dust.
No, I can show you. So I finally got the bases for these guys.
Oh wow.
So 6 mil
They
goals.
are lovely.
Yeah, I'm just I've got some cavalry and stuff as well behind there, but I'll show it all off properly next week when they're actually fully based. But I'm just finishing painting them off, so I've still got them in little strips. So these are like the little skirmishy guys running forward. But I'm finishing
Very
them,
nice.
and then I've either got a choice really. I'm either going to do that Team Yankee stuff or well, I'm waiting for Epic to come out, aren't I? Of course. As soon as that turns up, I'll be happy. Or I've got
we've mentioned that. I don't know if you caught that. I talked about the little intervention that I had to hold.
Oh, you spoke about? No, I didn't hear about that. No, you called me quite quickly. Ken, no.
Think of your relationship.
Calm down.
Yeah.
Oh, well, no. I mean,
Ken, can I say that's an epic shelf you've got behind you, mate?
I know it is, isn't it? It is an epic shelf. It is. Oh yeah, I put the Lord of the Rings magazines finally all in their books, so I'm quite happy about that.
Ken, quick question. Do you know when you put things on that shelf,
Yes, mate.
they normally get sold?
No, not the magazines. Not the magazines. They're too good. I love my magazines.
Well, I managed. I did a couple of things. So I spent most of my week. I'll show them in a minute. But over the weekend, I did another unit for the Wars of the Roses. This is Sir James Harrington, and I've done him as a Bill and Bow unit. So he was a full-on supporter of Warwick for ages until Warwick decided to back Stanley in possession of his castle. So this is a guy that we're going to be fighting with, Dom. This is a guy who was in Hornby Castle when Stanley said it was his, and then Warwick decided to give Stanley the biggest cannon in Bristol to help him lay siege to it. That was called, I can't remember what it was called. It's like it's called like Old Faithful or something like that. But I had a great deal of fun. I decided to do it because they're just black livery. It was great, but they it's a crisscrossy. There you go. There's one of the ones. It's like a crisscrossy knot. But I always like coming back to these because I just like putting them together and painting them, so I can put them out fairly quickly. I haven't decided which one of these two yet is meant to be Sir James Harrington. So one's I've decided is going to be his steward, the other one is him. I'll let the enemy guess. But I kit bashed the guy on the left to be cleaning his sword. So I've got just snipped and converted and used some green stuff, so he was wiping it clean with a piece of paper. I did consider trying to put some illumination on the manuscript, like he was wiping it clean with a page of the Bible or something. But I thought that might like it's just like like when they dragged them out of Sanctuary, But they were a lot of fun to do. So I need to get all of the units out at some point. and actually count them. But I feel like when I do that, I might stop. Whereas if I can't see them, because they're all gradually go back into the box. And then I painted up as I was working on the Lord of the Rings miniature, and I finished him. So I'll show it on here first. So here is the Witch King of Angmar, the new model, which I've got to say is one of the nicest kits that I've worked on in a long time, considering he's actually a pretty like color. He's pretty basic, you know. There's not a lot. It's a guy wearing black robes and armor and a horse, you know. But I was trying to play around with highlights and a bit of a muted color palette. So that's why I decided to do the base, like he was on the white city stones from the third film, and Minas Tirith and all those other Gondorian ruins. So lots of fun doing him. And then you get his counterpart on foot in case the horse gets killed. So there he is on foot as well. And then I just I actually thought no, I wanted to just put a little bit of base. So yeah, but brilliant. I can't fault that kit. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. They're little centerpieces, so I mean I think they're about 20 quid each for the kits, but when for something that's it's not like I'm gonna have loads of him. I don't mind sort of like paying that one out, and then because you get the two model, it's absolutely fine. I think that model on that horse I thought was awesome. So I spent quite most of the week painting him, and I got to that point where I was trying to find things to do on him, so I figured that was probably the time to stop. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's my that was my week, and then I've got lots of Victrix Normans to be taking my time up with, so I can do some more Crusaders. But it's probably about just before we sort of go to the main
pot calling the kettle. What?
That's some beard you got going on. Yeah. So it's more to do with just getting up early and not having time to shave.
Actually, we've got a public service announcement to do. Sorry, hang on just 1 second. Here we go. Shaco wants to say, can he pre-order Ken's unfinished Napoleonics in around about a year's time? We'll put you down for it, Shaco. Not a problem.
Yeah, that's it.
Not a problem.
That's it.
I cannot wait to prove you all wrong.
That's what you said about the last. That's what you said about the last lot. It's what you said about the last lot.
Yeah. They weren't Napoleonics.
Well, we'll see. So let's just catch up with the chat, and then I think we should launch into obviously today's topic, which is basically, as a topic, guest Simon. And I'll start with Triaris. He says he's really excited for this because he put on it to the strongest game with 400 miniatures and 6 players the other day. So he's looking forward to all of this. Boney said that Dom, he loved all your stuff on the Romans.
Cheers,
Luke, that the bloody minis are gorgeous. A lot of love for Caballero in there. Matt Mail basically crying because you're going to make him spend money. And obviously you weren't here at this point, Ken, but so David thought you'd exploded with excitement over the epic.
I think I might have done,
hello, dude. And then Steve, lots of people just equally just amazed and confused by your stuff. I think it's the
by his rat elephant.
Yeah.
That thing,
his rat elephant. Yeah.
I don't know whether I'll try and. So this is what I'm working on tonight.
Oh,
yes,
the beaky guy.
It's not the beaky guy. It's not that snail, is it? You were going to do that snail at some point.
No, I've been looking on Amazon for garden snails. So what?
You see. Cheers, Leslie. We go off in all directions. Isn't that? I thought that's why everyone tuned in.
That's why we all watched it.
I thought that was why everybody tuned in. Simon, lots and lots of love for your for the units there. So so gorgeous, excellent. I want to know what Reddy's using. Those are lovely. These are much nicer comments than the ones that we get a lot of the time. But no, that is fantastic. Well, everybody, I think it's about time that we get round to our guests. So Simon, we've had a few people on here now, and I suppose the best thing to say is what is your gaming background? I know people will probably know you as the author of To the Strongest, and some other people will know you as the sort of owner of Big Red Bat, but what is your sort of gaming background like? What got you into wargaming?
I've always had toy soldiers around. I mean, like my one of my earliest memories is getting my first couple of toy soldiers who were, I think they would have been those Britain's plastics. They're about, as I recall, they're about 70 mil tall, and I had 2 of them, when I was in my buggy. And after that, 54mm Timpo, plastic kits from Hong Kong, Airfix when it came out, then metal soldiers after that. Just always been collecting and painting toy soldiers, really. And before even I had the armies of toy soldiers, I used to use bricks as regiments and individual soldiers, like Lego bricks on cloth, mat, terrain. I remember doing Thermopylae when I must have been 10 or 11. And yeah, just always done it, really. Never been a time when I haven't done it. And of course, once you've got an army, a few toy soldiers or an army of toy soldiers, you need a set of rules. So I've always written Wargames rules. So I had a friend, a very good friend, when we were about 12, who we used to go every Saturday and play Wargames with bricks or Lego or Airfix or whatever. And I always used to write the rules, and I pretty much always used to win. In fact, I think invariably I used to win, which is a bit bad, really. But and that's not by no means the case any longer.
Now you're making up for it, aren't you? Paying the price.
So yeah, always collected toy soldiers, and had a bit of a break when I went off to university and for a few years, and then I gradually crept back into it. Someone was showing a single figure earlier. I always think that's a dangerous thing to do, is to buy a single figure, because I've bought a single painted figure and then bought another 1,000 figures to match it, or 2,000 figures. From one figure, the urge to collect and create a structure, an order, an army out of it. I get very excited about orders of battle. I want to collect the whole army. I want all the regiments, all the battalions, and I'm sure we all do, actually.
Yeah,
well, most of us probably do.
Definitely.
So yeah, I went from collecting the plastic toy soldiers to writing rules for the plastic toy soldiers, and
was that to justify buying more, Simon? Develop the rules so you have to buy more figures to go with it.
Well, it didn't used to be the case, really. It didn't used to be the case, but now, of course, I can always justify that purchase of a large army of painted figures that I mentioned briefly earlier, just because, of course, it's part of my business, and I need to do it to promote my business.
I'm loving this. I'm learning some new tricks.
Dom, take some notes, bud.
I'm feeling like a new career change is coming my way. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But like, I need an excuse to buy more figures. I just like buying figures. And what was it that Agent Mulder said? Every day I like to give myself a little present. Well, I think that's very true around here. It's very true.
That's a good ethos, actually. That's I like that. No, I like that a lot. So I think that seems very similar. Everyone starts with the small figures and sort of gaming out. I think certainly the way that we've all spoken, and then quite a few of the guests have all said it's very similar. So what then made you want to start writing? Obviously, so you write rules. What made you want to effectively start putting them out there, or was it that you'd done them and people enjoyed them, and thought maybe more people will?
I had I guess about 7 or 8 years ago, a friend and I, we had a group of 3 or 4 friends, and we used to play Ancients games a lot, but we had a lot of trouble with the existing rules. Sometimes we got very frustrated with the rules because they didn't cover eventualities. Sometimes the rules were really slow, or there were things we didn't agree with. I eventually came to the conclusion that the only set of rules I was going to agree were really fair and well balanced was one I'd written myself. So it followed logically. It followed logically that I needed to write a set of rules. And we had I've got a very good friend, Ian Notter, who lives in Muswell Hill, where I live. We quite often, every week we go out for a walk and we talk about figures, rules, and things like that. And any mechanic I've ever incorporated, I think I've pretty much run past him if he's not suggested it. Quite often he comes up with a really good suggestion for a mechanic for set rules, as we're on our walks around and about. we wrote a couple of sets which they weren't quite there, but essentially one day I just decided I needed to strip it all back to basics, write a really simple set of rules where you could play a game quite fast with a lot of figures. And I started to the strongest, and I worked on it for about a year, and then it dawned on me that the rules were really terrible. One night, it was unfortunate, really, because I'd spent a whole year working on writing these rules, and I was using 2d6, so it was like a bell curve for the probabilities, and I was adding things to them. And of course, once you start adding things to a bell curve, or subtracting things, you often get up to these really extreme ends of the curve, and it really didn't work. I just had this idea one night, I don't know where it came from, of just using a D10, and then very quickly after that I thought, playing cards, actually, they're like a D10, but you don't have to keep rolling them, and you can have a big stack of them in your hand and you can throw them on the table. So I ended up writing, unbelievably, a set of rules on a square grid that, to no one's surprise more than my own, a square grid with playing cards.
I mean, it is because if I think one of the first things anyone says, or I've encountered someone talks about To the Strongest, they say it's a game on a grid with cards, and usually the person you're talking to, it's like, pardon. You know, where's the tape measures? There's no tape measure.
Yeah.
You know, there's no dice. Obviously, we want to have a good chat about To the Strongest and its mechanics. But sort of before we sort of get into that, I've got to ask, Big Red Bat.
Oh,
What's the name? What's the name? What is Big Red Bat?
So, before I got back into wargaming around about 2000, I used to be into role playing, and I was very into RuneQuest. And if you've ever played RuneQuest, and I'm sure that a few of your people that are listening out there will have played RuneQuest, in the world of Glorantha, there's this the Lunar Empire can deploy this fearsome bat that eats cities and can grow to be, I think, about 6 miles wide, eating everything in its path, with a college of wizards who live on its back, and it has like 3 different tongues for different sorts of attacks, and on its back there are giant ticks that you have to fight the giant ticks before you can fight the bat. Should you be stupid enough to fight a 6-kilometer wide bat?
This sounds like something Steve's going to build for his
This
Turnip.
sounds like Steve. That's exactly what I was going to say.
It's all being stored in here for future use.
So we were playing. I got into this game called Hordes of the Things, that, like DBA, the fantasy DBA game, and I decided to build an army, a lunar army for use on this. And the tables that we were using were, I believe, 3 feet square tables that we were using. So naturally, I wanted to build a bat that was 2'6" wide to use on this 3 foot wide table, and I started building this giant bat, which I've still got. It's there's an image somewhere on my blog. If you look it up, it's 2'6" wide. It's got a load of mages and wizards on its back and some soldiers. It's got glow in the dark eyes with LED eyes, 3 tongues. I mean, it is a ridiculous model. It's a lovely model. I haven't had it out for a long time. At the time I was doing it, we had to pick a tag because it was when the forums were first starting up, around about 2000. So because that's what I was modeling that week, I picked Big Red Bat as my tag. And of course, once you've picked a tag, you really are tied to that forever. So I will forever be Big Red Bat. And I get it out every few years and take a photo of it. It's a lovely thing. We did used to use it at shows, actually, because we used we used to play a version of Command and Colors with it, a fantasy version of Command and Colors. It was a lot of fun, but it's a great model. And that's why I got to be called Big Red Bat. Once you're on one forum, you go to the next forum. You want to keep the same name. I mean, and then, of course, if you're starting off a shop that people are going to come to, and they know you Big Red Bat. It makes sense to call the shop the Big Red Bat shop, despite the fact that it has nothing to do with what I sell from it. And my blog is the Big Red Bat Cave.
I was about to say, well, I got to be honest. Like when we sort of, we're going to ask about that. I don't know what I was expecting. But it wasn't that.
No.
Yeah. If you go on, if you Google after this is finished, if you Google Big Red Bat Cave and go onto my blog, there's a tab on the right, and you can click on Big Red Bat, and there's a picture of it, there. And it was it was great fun producing a 2'6" wide model on a 3 foot wide table. People were surprised. Gives you a certain moral edge.
That's absolutely fantastic. I think you're in good company though with Kaiser from Modern Advantage, RuneQuest Rocks, Luna, and Dodgy Sorcerers like Ducks.
Oh yes, the Ducks.
We've got Matty loves RuneQuest. Rebought old supplements recently.
Yeah, still going strong.
Okay, so we've got a community going on in here where we need to create like a subgroup in the forum. And of course, yes, you keep you're very sort of prolific with your blog, aren't you?
Well, I haven't been. It has been. I used to be terrifically prolific, but this last 6 months it's just dropped 2 or 3 posts a month. Although I noticed actually I'm really picking up again because I've got a new period going. I'm really buzzy about this new thing I'm painting at the moment, and I've been posting a lot more. So I'll probably be posting every 3 or 4 days, I guess, for a period of time. And I active blog. I do like to blog, but I haven't done it enough recently. I still really like the blogs. I like, although everyone's now on Facebook, a blog is a really good place to create a post and structure a post where you're talking about something slightly complicated that you can't really do on Facebook.
I suppose, yeah. It is. I mean, also, yeah, a blog as well, because you've got that searchable function. We've talked to a couple of other people with blogs, but I think it's quite. I don't know. It's just kind of got more like articles, and you can search like within those, and you know, especially with like how to. Because I remember going again something we were talking about, but your bases, and I went through your blog, which is where I found the bases to begin with. And to be honest, that's how I came the alternative route. So I found your bases, then I found the rules. So that's how sort of I go through that. I think once we talk about if you had to give an elevator pitch for To the Strongest, what go? Because I know we've got some people in the chat, and so I've got some questions to ask you later that people have sent me. Nothing too complicated, but I think there's quite a few people in here who either haven't played it or they're a bit unsure. But what would be your what would be if someone came up to you in the show and obviously you've had your table? In fact, you sent me a picture of you at Partisan.
Yes.
So with
my friend I like a lounge shirt. With
your I think I should show this now. So at Partisan, you put on a 54mm.
Yeah. I must say, these aren't my figures, and they're actually not 54mm. They're actually 60mm figures. They are incredible figures.
Scale creep.
They are incredible figures. They're all owned by my friend Dave Lycett, and he's collected basically an Alexandrian army and a Persian army.
Wow.
You can see, there's Darius. It's all there. In fact, there's some fantasy elements. He's even got some sort of camels with howdahs on the back, and he's converted some of the big Schleich plastic elephants. Can you see them on there? I don't think they made it into that shot. He's got some huge Schleich elephants with howdahs on the back, and they're great. They're just great figures. Okay, so To the Strongest. I mean, it's basically a fast war game that you can play. If you want to play a competition game, you can play a game in about an hour and a half or 2 hours to a decisive victory usually. But it also scales so that you can play a game with 6 players aside on a table 24 foot wide, all playing in parallel without anyone getting bored, because there's always something happening. basically, I started developing it so I could play it with my mates, but pretty quickly I wanted to put on games at shows because I've got all these figures and you need some way of animating them at a show. So I worked out that the rules could work both really well for a big game at a show with 4 or 6 players on a side, or they can work well as a competition game on a 6x4 table in a room over a pub with a couple of pints of beer. Really that's what they do. The mechanics are quite they're quite bloody. Units have typically 1, 2 or 3 hits, and if you're hit and you fail your save, then that unit is dead. People are quite often surprised when a unit dies in the first 30 seconds of play. It's not unusual to lose units right from the outset of the game, and there are huge swings of fortune. The guy, my local friend that I play against, has got a brain the size of a planet, and he's able to calculate probabilities and plan strategies 2, 3, 4 turns ahead. So I designed a game that's really chaotic, that really fucks with his head. And he can't do it. You can try and plan. You know, the best players will have out-deployed you before your stuff is even on the table, and they will proceed to dismember your army over the course of an hour or an hour and a half of entertaining play. But there's a good balance of luck in it, and no one is ever guaranteed to win. Even the best player won't necessarily win.
No, I mean, there's something that stands out, which you sort of I don't think it's highlighted, but also in the rules where you state, so, you know, even a unit of veterans can be beaten by some plebs, basically, that have just been,
Indeed, it
I like that. That sounds good.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of chaos. It's the playing cards thing is really at the heart of it. So you've got your army. It's divided typically into 3 or 4 commands. Each of the commands typically has 3 or 4 units, sometimes more, sometimes less, but that's usually roughly what they've got. And you can you can activate a unit by playing, in the simplest sense, anything but an ace on it. And you've got this deck of cards, which is usually 80 cards, numbered from 1 to 10, without any of the picture cards. You throw them away or save them for another thing that we use in the game. So you've got the pack of playing cards is a bit like a big flat D10. And you shuffle them and you start playing cards, and you can activate a unit unless you get an ace on it. The first time it will activate, usually, unless you're doing something complicated or you play an ace, it will activate. And you can then activate it again by playing a higher card than the card you played before, or by playing a 10. So sometimes a unit won't activate at all because you played an ace on it. Another time a unit can go 2, 3, 4 times in a turn. And, you know, sometimes turns can be brutally short. Other time, you know, you can play. You might, a turn can go on for 15 minutes or whatever. There's a lot of swings of fortune and luck.
I was going to say, you get that sort of, I imagine there's a lot of swearing. Yes, I don't know why, but I can imagine Dom swearing. I'm looking at it.
Yeah, it literally be, you bastard. That'd be what it would be.
There's a lot of good-natured swearing.
So I think obviously one of the big things about the game is it's on a grid. And there's no tape measures, and I've got a couple of pictures here that you kindly sent me. Now it's a very unintrusive, or the grid is kind of as intrusive as you want it to be, I guess, because you can build it. You could just use scenery as the cross sections, or you can. I know you have mats in your shop which have effectively a crosshair almost. There's a corners.
A crosshair at the corners. To be honest, a lot of people when they come up at a show don't even realise that it is a grid-based game, because the grids are This is right now. This is my friend Andrew Brentnell's Marston Moor. This is in 12 mil, although 10/12 mil. We played this a couple of months ago. For those that are interested, I think the Royalists are on the right. Holding the hedge line, and the parliamentarians are attacking. That was quite late in the game, that particular shot. And we had basically all the units that were at Marston Moor God, there were hundreds of them. And we played it to a conclusion in, I think, about 3.5 hours.
I mean, that's fantastic. I was just saying, because you can if you sort of focus down the bottom between the two units of war, you can just about see one of the intersections of the grid.
Oh yeah,
but you have to concentrate, but obviously you're never going to see it from there. So yes, it is quite. And now, sort of on this thing here, so I know Miller's going to be watching this. He's one of our resident ECW buffs, and he's probably losing his mind right now because he wants it in every scale. So just in front of this unit, you can see the little crosshair there.
So you've got this is quite interesting. You've got that unit is, I think, 12.5 centimeters wide. The figures, I think, were based up by Andrew many years ago, and then we adapted he rebased them for the. Actually, he didn't even need to rebase them for the system. I think he just got the sabots made. That's Tilia's 1st battalion. I presume he's got more than one because that's Tilia 1. It's got 3 M's, which means it's got three rounds of bonus musket fire. 1 to 2 is the pike ratio. 1 pike to 2 shots. S means seasoned. It's an average unit. That's 2. I'm not sure what the 2. I think it's got an attached artillery piece, and I think those might mean. God, I don't know what those things on the right there are. But I was commanding the cavalry. We just fought all day over this bloody hedge. A hedge and embankment on the left of the battlefield. God, he'd charge down it, I'd charge up it, everyone would die, we'd feed in another line, he'd charge down it. It went on like that. It was but it was a really good game. In a war games room that was the size of most people's houses. Unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it.
That's the dream, isn't it? That's the thing for all of us. Like you were talking about all these collections of models and we'd store them. That's buy another house.
It was absolutely unbelievable. I mean, I thought he had a lot of figures. This chap, lovely guy, hosted us. I thought he had a lot of figures until I went out in his back garden, and as well as the house, he had all these sheds full of figures as well, and a World War II German howitzer. I mean,
you ain't got one of them, Dom.
No, I haven't got one of those.
Yes. No, you want a Bofors gun. That's what you want out of the bag. A Bofors.
I mean. Something which I was discussing, I was actually talking to Ken about this earlier, and something which I really like, and I'm sure the others will probably agree, is because you're playing grid-based, your basing mechanics or your basing system is effectively irrelevant, apart from you want it to be the same scale and not too broad. Broadly, you have my models that are based. Of a different frontage can play Steve's army, which not with the turnip elephant. Well, maybe it could, but you can, because you're playing in this system. It does away with that whole.
Really? You can mix in scale as well if you wanted to. It wouldn't really matter, would it?
You could.
If one of your mates has got 54 mil and you've got 28.
So I believe Matt Mail and Miller, he's talking to you when you wanted to do 15 v28. There you go. To the strongest is your game. You could have done that.
You absolutely could.
When you said it was grid based, that's the first thing I thought of this. So if you've got a defined grid, it wouldn't matter the basing you've used. So that's I like that. I really like that.
I think the thing is. Certainly, if you're, like if we're playing, a lot of people come along for tournaments, and when you come along to a tournament, we've got usually a 15 centimeter grid, 6 foot by 4 foot table, 12 boxes by 8 boxes, and people often use figures that have been based for Warhammer, figures that are on round bases, on Sabo stands, old figures based on the sort of WRG standard. My figures based on their weird wobbly edge bases. Anything really goes, and you could use different scales. I have thought about that sometime. I mean, there's no particular problem with it.
No. Because if your mate's got a Roman army in 54 mil and you've got a Gaul army in 12 mils, no drama, is it really?
It might look a little like
it might look weird.
Giants, but
it might look a little bit weird, but
it'll just look like those warlord Romans playing a normal 28 mil element. Sorry,
I mean, all those warlord Romans, aren't they?
They are.
This is why we're on a list, Martin. This is why we're on a list.
That's not why.
No, that's not why we're on the list, Ken.
What I mean, that's one of them. So you sent me lots of photos to show the sheer variety. So we have the now I'm going to butcher the pronunciation. It's Conditori. I'm sorry, Conditori. There we go. So we've got the big red bat bases, which I've been.
You're in love with those. You're in love with those bases.
Well, we might as well. Yes. I mean, and this is weird. I found the bases and then I found the game. This is the way I went about things. Because I was looking for. I saw the photos on your blog of your the English Civil War stuff, and I thought, oh, that's good, and I like those. And I found the site, and then I found To the Strongest, and I'd heard it To the Strongest, but I didn't realize that was you at that point.
No,
so it's like big red bat To the Strongest. There's it was but obviously then I found your blog and these figures are fantastic. But I mean, that army there is when was that used? Was that something?
I was using that the year before lockdown. In fact, I think the last game I played until recently, well, it would have been January in Cardiff in January last year, was using this army. In fact, I think that's where the shot was taken. And this is just, you'll be familiar with these because you're using many of the same figures. They're pretty much all Perry mercenaries, plastic mercenaries. There's a unit at the back. You can see a Venetian spearman, and the knights at the front are Milanese and Venetian knights. And I think partly what I wanted to do with this army was have a really portable army that I could just carry on the train, because I got the train to the tournament at Cardiff, because they weigh nothing. I took the army and the cloths and the hills and the few trees and managed to carry it all really easily on the train. That's the glory of plastics, really. I had a lot of fun. I think I came up in the top 2 or 3 of it. I didn't win, it's just a lot of fun to collect an army like this. And the figures, you see the bases there in the figure in the shot you've shown. Each of those units is got 2 bases with the 3 figures on. The nice thing about that particular base, which in technical terms is the FKMP 06, it's my favorite base of all the bases, is that if your unit's disordered, you can just skew the 2 bases to show that the unit's disordered, just put them at an angle to each other. If you want to play, that's on a 15 centimeter grid, but if you want to play on a 20 centimeter grid, you just put an extra base on, so you don't need to rebase anything. You've got 12 centimeter wide unit on a 15 centimeter grid, or an 18 centimeter wide unit on a 20 centimeter grid, and that's pretty much what I base everything on these days, that one base. Even those 1670s figures I showed earlier, they're on that base too. And you can go, it's a bit like Impetus, where you can go try and have units that have got a little bit of sort of dynamism to the basing. You don't have to be exactly in ranks.
That's certainly the way sort of my basing has started going. I seem to be rebelling. I think it's maybe because I painted so many Napoleonics in ranks that I've started that seeing people lined up just be the twitches.
No, it depends really, I suppose, on the period. I mean, I like doing that with these, but funnily enough, with the 1672 figures, they're really quite regimented, as you saw. They're quite formally arrayed. I guess it depends a bit on how you feel about the period, doesn't it? And how you feel that
it's each their own, isn't it? It's just case. I'm getting a lot of comments in the chat basically saying, oh yeah, I was about to do that.
I can see that. Right, so it is mostly Bicol miniatures, but well, I'm terribly OCD about collecting figures. I need them all to be roughly the same size. As well as the Bicol miniatures, maybe a quarter of them are Renegade, or a quarter or a fifth of Renegade, which is the same sculptor, just a little bit bigger. But if you sand the bases down a little bit, or you don't look too closely, they work really well together.
That's is the Renegade guy and the bike, because it's the same sculptor for
the
Bloody
same
Miniatures
original
as
sculpture.
well. So
is it the same guy as Bloody Miniatures?
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
it's
And
the same guy.
I've just forgotten his name, but yes, it is. It's the same guy as well. So
I mean, they are all lovely, and I have been looking at those Bloody Miniatures, thinking I really ought to get some. Yeah, but they're all they're like siege, mostly for sieges and skirmishes, and I mostly do a big battle.
That's the thing. I'm going to pop this up now, because obviously this is a bit of an interrupt, and we talked about it. It's just a slight aside, but I think we're going to keep on getting comments about it. Can people know more about the wobbly edge bases? Because
so the wobbly edge
I
bases,
just keep on showing them, and there we go. Floor's yours.
Okay, so I remember well, I was coming back from a show at the Reading, a Wargame show at Reading one night. I was driving back with my chum Ian, and we were sat in the car, and I realised that because I was now playing an entirely grid-based game with no measurement, that the bases didn't have to be square anymore. So they could be. I started off with the slightly oval bases, but then I fell into the bases I've used for the English Civil War stuff, what we call wobbly edged, and they have like a serrated edge. They look very much. There's a French biscuit that they look very, very similar to. Nick Collier could be. I'm not sure. But that they have a wobbly edge, and the great thing about the wobbly edge is that when you sand the edge of the base down and you flock the base, the figures kind of disappear into the cloth. It's a bit of a trick for the eye. That you don't have that step that you see. Personally, I'm not a big fan of sabots. I don't like that step that you get on the edge of a sabot base. I like the base to curve down into the cloth. The wobbly edge figures bases are very good for that. And my chum Ian, who's got some good CGI skills, he designed bases that basically semi-slot together. So on the edge of the bases, they fit into each other. And when the whole unit's put together, you have to look quite carefully to see where the join is sometimes. And I've got them in all sorts of sizes. I've kind of expanded the range. In fact, I'm seeing Ian tomorrow, and I need another 2 sizes of bases off him. So I'm going to be begging him to do me a couple more designs tomorrow.
Was it the F and KP 6As that I had to email you about, and you just say, please, can I just get a load of these, please?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And you're not the first that's the second most popular size. One of the ones you've got there is it's very that's
sort of these
popular.
ones. You can just get quite a few figures on it. I do have to put an arrow on them though, because after I've done them, I'm like, I can't. And I've
absolutely, yeah. You want to get them the right way round so that they all fit into the ones in front.
Well,
I would be guaranteed to get them round the wrong way every single time.
Yes, I had
I put an arrow on the top of them to help.
You did, and then I painted over it. But I had a happy accident. So because my Normans are back to front, and I've done my Saracens this way, they fit together when they clash.
Right.
So the two bases go. Look.
So you've got to remember to base one of your armies backwards all the time.
I've written it all the Normans. I've got it written. So when I pre-do all my bases, I've written on them. This is not, and I've had to draw big arrows with Sharpies on them.
I do wish I did my Napoleonics with those. I really do. I think they would be.
It was
yes. To be honest, actually, I've got a Napoleonic army. It's a guilty secret, really, but they're actually on all the square Perry bases, and mostly these days, almost everything goes onto the wobbly edge bases, except for where I'm matching an old army.
Yeah,
I mean, they are brilliant bases, and they say before, in my video, and we've talked about it here, it's just something weirdly aesthetically pleasing about it, which is you got, and certainly in the games we've played, we've enjoyed. What was that?
I just realised something. Can you get them in the small epic scale sort of bases?
There are little ones. Yeah.
Yeah, I could. I'm sure I
Hang
could.
on.
I'm sure
Look,
I could base you
Shall I
up.
just show you? Look at the number.
Yeah,
You
do you know
should
like the epic bases that
You
Warlord
should see
do?
my house.
Oh yeah. What would they do,
There
Mine?
you go, Ken. Look.
Yeah, those ones. That's the ones like that. Very, very similar to that. I need those in my life.
When I first found them, I didn't know which ones I need, so I just went, yeah, I'll just buy them.
I'll have everything.
Ken, if you drop me an email, I'll send you up some samples. It sounds like there's a huge potential customer there.
You have no idea.
Yeah,
you have no idea.
Get him to pay you for them straight away because
If
they'll
I
be on eBay very shortly. So don't worry.
If we hadn't talked about the £580 one, then there'd have been 6,000 models needing basically. That's absolutely fantastic, and it's just another one of those things that goes along with it. Because obviously, I saw those pictures. I guess it kind of comes with it because I saw them in your English Civil War stuff, and you've done for King and Parliament.
Yeah. And they work particularly well for that. One of the nice things about them is they work very well with the slightly textured cloths that you get these days. So if you've got teddy bear fur, they look brilliant on teddy bear fur. Or the I even sell the cloths. I can't remember his name. Mac, the cloths that Mac does. It's gone. They're
ones.
The fleece ones, yeah.
From Geek Villains.
That's it, Geek Villain. Yeah, I actually sell those with a 15cm grid on. And in fact, those condottieri were on one of those cloths. And I really like it because they've got like a 1 or 2 mil nap on them. And that completely, they really sink well into that. It just looks brilliant. I love it. It helps create the illusion.
It's Nick Collier was the sculptor.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Yes, I
think that was. I think that's it. But that's it. So I'm going to, and I will get killed if I don't ask this because I was basically told this in the Facebook group. Was like you have to ask about this. So for King and Parliament, you've got a separate rule book.
Yes,
English Civil, but it's still very much to the strongest, isn't it? It's still
you've
just taken that and developed it further.
Yeah, we're basically, I wrote to the strongest, which is ancient and medieval, goes up to about 1500. Then my friend Andrew pitched the idea of doing an English Civil War set of rules, which we used pretty much all the same mechanisms, but because the English Civil War, we had to introduce some extra English Civil War flavour into it. So the first set of rules covers like 3000 BC to 1500 AD. The second set of rules covers like 1640 to 1645, about 5 years. No, about a little way each either side of the English Civil War. And that was the game we were using for that Marston Moor, obviously. Wrote that with Andrew. I call him my stealth co-author. Because no one ever mentions him, but I couldn't have written it without him because he knows the period so much better than do I. I know it quite well now, but I didn't know it when we started.
And on your website, and I've looked at them before because I mean, like the War Stories, but you've got a lot of army lists on your across the website. You've got lots of lists. You've got scenarios and all sorts.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing actually. So I started off. Oh, sorry, I knocked my table there slightly. I started off with about 5 or 10 army lists when it first started off, and I got up to about 100. But last year, I decided to sort of professionalize the army lists, and I split them into 2 books, and started to charge £10 a book, basically, which has actually given me a little bit of revenue, which has enabled me to concentrate on writing them. And that's partly one of the reasons that I've been very slow with Renaissance, bringing out Renaissance, because who knew there were so many army lists? I'm now getting into the more obscure army lists. I think we're reaching a point of diminishing returns. We're doing the last month we were doing the African lists, the Tuareg, obviously we've heard about, the Western Sudan, the Mossi. I'm writing the Mossi at the moment. I mean, but yeah, they were an army.
It's a new one on me, that one.
Yeah, I know.
Dom's off to research it.
I'll be looking it up. I might have it soon.
There are some really quite colourful armies down there. Unfortunately, very poorly served with figures, but sometimes you can. I mean, we were talking about. I was looking around for figures for the tower eggs. Obviously, the new castings are coming out for that. Often you can convert things like the Peri Mardeists into some of the African things. There's some really interesting armies down there, really fascinating. But anyway, I've ended up writing God knows how many. I mean, I think it's about 280 lists we've got published now. And rather than just writing the bare lists, I've been going back and revising the lists, the earlier ones I wrote, and adding a bit of historical background, who they were, who they fought, who the notable characters were, a little bit about how the army was structured. And these books are getting really, really big, and they've been very popular. I produced an updated version week before last, and a lot of people are buying it, which is really great, because the revenue from that enables me to devote a day or two a week to writing more lists. And quite often people will help me by proposing a list. They'll propose it, I'll edit it, then a couple of other friends, Sid and Tim, will check it and tell me that I'm wrong, then I'll do it anyhow.
Just say, what gamer doesn't like an army list?
Exactly,
absolutely.
Love pouring through them.
And they are quite detailed. It's interesting, you were showing that lovely Caballero figures, Carroccio type thing. I've actually got a special rule for that in the Spanish, one of the early Spanish lists. It's actually, there's a rule for that. It's counts as an army standard, sacred army standard.
Because they had one in the Italian Condotti period, didn't they? They used to, the city
they used them a lot
as well. Yeah, with a big banner on them, which is brilliant. That's what I was looking at the
Ian Heath Feudal Europe book. It's really good. They've got obviously the Perrys do a lovely model for it. Not that this Caballero one looked really, really good too. And it's possible to. They just add so much colour, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Absolutely brilliant.
Bill, he's not allowed to talk about that.
That's another subject we're not allowed to talk about on the stream.
We will explain. We'll explain. But basically, if you invite Ken anywhere, no one knows what vehicle he'll turn up in. Whatever the car dealership has going, that he can test drive for 24 hours. I've told that story to someone else this week. I told that story to a digger driver on site this week. We were standing around.
It was the bet, right? Basically, how it comes about is my girlfriend needed the car, so I didn't have a car, and I thought, why don't I just test drive a car for 24 hours? Then I don't have to pay for a hire car, because they're like 140 quid. And they went, and so I did. I drove out to Cambridge in it, and I didn't put fuel in it. So it was completely free. So
yes, that was. And then, but you were on the phone to the dealership trying to work out how to lock it, which, to be fair, is what I had to do last week with my hire.
Yes, I'm glad you said that.
Before you go, I mean, we've got some comments here. So Big City said when he heard it's on the grid and playing cards, he didn't think he'd be interested, but having listened to you and talking to about the photos, he's going to give it a look. And
all I can say is, if someone had pitched to me the idea like 8 years ago that I'd be playing a game on, or I'd be playing a game on a grid, on a square grid with playing cards, let alone having written a game system on the square grid with playing cards, I'd tell them they were mad.
Yeah, I can honestly say, Simon, it did. When I first time I saw it, I can't remember which show it was, but it was some show I saw it, and I thought, I just walked past. I thought it was like a fantasy game, but the more I've seen of it, the more I've heard about it, the more I want to play it. So I'm exactly the same.
The mechanics are very light-hearted. But I actually do come from, I'm a really serious historical wargamer. And we've actually managed to get, there's a lot of detail within the rules. Armies do perform pretty much as you'd expect them to in an ancient battle. There's a surprising amount of detail when you actually get into the rules and the army lists. It works very well.
Okay. So we're probably going to just coming to do some news, but have you got any releases coming up in the next imminent future?
Yes. So this Friday, I'm going to release the second ECW scenario book, written by Robert Avery. He basically, it's a funny thing. People quite like, because they like the rules, they write material for them. And he pitched this to me, and so he wrote a scenario book called From Marlow to Maidenhead, which is a set of battles fought between parliamentarian royalist forces in a sort of English county, and that's been terrifically popular because you can meet up with a bunch of friends and you can play 12 related battles with the same characters occurring within the battles, and more or less the same army, so you can collect the armies and play them. And he's now done a second one called the Siege of Norchester, which isn't actually a siege. It's per se. I think it's spaced somewhere between Newark and Colchester, hence the Norchester, where it's the cutting off of the city, the battles around the city, attacks on the city, breakouts, stop the pigeon as the trying to stop the messenger leaving the city. It looks like terrific fun, and it's got a cast of characters, colourful characters. So that's
something that people are always talking about on here, and Ken and Steve especially. I know you guys you're always talking about that, like the Necromunda ongoing campaign, Frostgrave, development of characters. So to have that for effectively a mass battle game, is really that's really interesting.
So
that's very cool.
So that's the next thing coming out. I'm chatting with another couple of friends who are writing a historical scenario book for Montrose, the battles on the Celtic fringe, but that won't be out probably for another 6 months or a year. I've got another release of the army lists in January for ancients and February for medievals. I'm working on Renaissance, but that's just coming into the first bit of playtesting now. In fact, I was making the wooden block units that I use for playtesting today. So hopefully within 2 or 3 weeks, I'll be playing that with my local chum to just sanity check that what I've got is good enough to put out to a wider group of people.
Sounds fun. What armies is that going to cover, Simon?
Okay, so at the moment, I'm minded to start with the Burgundian Wars.
Tom's ears are just pricked.
I may possibly have one of the larger Swiss armies in the world. Probably the Swiss army is probably bigger than my Swiss army, but no. So the Burgundian Wars, you have to pick an arbitrary point to start. A lot of people go with the Italian Wars, but I think some of the same sort of artillery is turning up in the Burgundian Wars, so it seems politic to start with the Burgundian Wars. And that will, the current intention is that will run through pretty much until the English Civil War. So it will cover everything up to, say, Rockroy. I very much want to do Rockroy. I bought some of the figures for it. There's a lot of figures. So that's anyhow. That's where that is, and then undoubtedly, because I'm currently basing figures for the 1670s, at some stage there will be a set of rules covering the 1670s and 80s and 90s and the War of the Spanish Succession.
That's our most. I was asked. I think I've had a bunch of separate messages. I had 2 emails and then a bunch of things in the Facebook, basically just saying what's happening with the Renaissance draft. So
yeah. I mean, mea culpa. I mean, I had the bulk of the Renaissance rules were written a year ago, and I refined them and added a lot more detail about 6 months ago. And then for the last 6 months, sort of COVID-related stuff, family stuff, a lot of family stuff has taken a lot of my time up. I just haven't been able to. Oh, and writing the army list, just haven't been able to get it over the line. Every time one of you evil people buy something off me, that puts me back 20 minutes.
Well, you sent me enough bases now to do me for till Christmas. So
that Renaissance sounds really team.
Yeah,
That's
to be
good. So
fair,
you're covered. I'm pleased you're covered, Martin.
that
None
could
of the
be-
rest
yeah.
of you don't buy anything off.
Too late.
It's too late. He's on there now. He's on there. He's on there. Awesome. Wicked.
But I mean, I have got Renaissance is largely written. I've done a lot of reading over the last 6 months. I researched the battle Cherasol, D'Alba in 1544. I've learned an awful lot of how Renaissance battle works. Playtesters. There will be time for playtesters later, but I need to sanity check it.
I love that. That was straight in all the sixes. I've seen. I'm sorry, all the sixes. Because I haven't seen. I've seen all your comments. And I'm trying to get to, but it's only people commenting. But I thought, no, I'll definitely get that one. That's wicked. Well, what I think we'll do is give Simon just a second to come back. Should we? I think maybe should we do some news, gents? And see, Simon,
your earmuffs on, everyone.
You might want to cover your ears or take your headphones off for this because I take it we haven't changed it.
No, I've been too busy.
Okay, all right then.
I'll take a stiff drink.
Yeah, you're going to need to.
All right then, here we go. Right, I think this is where Dom, you had not sent to change into your newsreader's outfit because basically you are it's like news round. You are the newsman. Because I have one thing.
Go on, you show your one thing, and then I'll launch.
My one thing isn't even really related to models. It's not related to models in any way. It's just
really.
And I put this up in the Facebook group, and for anybody who wants to take part, Ridley Scott is looking for military film extras for his next project, which is his Napoleon biopic with I believe it's Joaquin Phoenix who's playing Napoleon.
Wow.
So they're looking for period extras, and you don't have to be a reenactor. It does say you have to be vaguely physically fit, and I'm not suggesting anything about the three others on these. I'm certain.
Hey, mate, I can run,
but
I'm more than capable.
Yeah, but they're not running away from the enemy. I mean, can you imagine the four of us in line?
Oh my
god!
Steve's
going to be like up. Steve could be the drummer boy, but it'd be up here. Like on the ground. Anyway, if anyone's interested, I've seen there's a few people I think who did. I think everyone in the plastic crack community, we could do a battalion for ourselves. Get the plastic crack battalion.
We should sponsor somebody to do it. I think that's for sure, and then have a reporter on the
Steve. Steve.
I think Steve would be brilliant.
Steve. Everyone in favour say aye.
Aye.
I'm not getting involved in shenanigans like this. One, I'm not what you call physically fit. Two, I think I'd stand out a bit. Like I said in the Facebook group, he'd probably be trying to rope me into some kind of science fiction film rather than Napoleonics.
Yeah,
you can have as many turnips as you can eat, mate. That'd be fine.
That's it. That's fine. So no, that was my piece. That was my piece of news.
I got news.
No, you're not doing your news.
Oh, what news?
We've already. We talked about the pre-order. We talked about it at the start.
Oh well.
Right, let's move on.
Oh, I've got one piece of news which is quite rare for me. So this was put onto my Facebook group before. I'm assuming it's new because I've never seen it before, so it's news to me. Where we go? It's
I moved it up, mate.
All right.
It's underneath the thing I just popped up.
Right. Where the bloody friggin' arse?
Do you want me to find
it?
There we go. That's the one. There we go.
It's the Plastic Crack podcast.
So that is Monte Cassino in 1/72 scale. But you actually get an MDF Monte Cassino.
That's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
And you get
I'm blowing out one.
Sorry,
two. You get two different types for the roofs. Look at
I think one's destroyed, and I think one is not. But you get Fallschirmjäger. I think you get poles in there. There's tanks. It's meant to be a sort of. I think it's a it's like a diorama type thing, but that could easily be converted into smaller scale sort of chain of command.
Definitely.
Group. Yeah, even
any idea on cost?
Yeah,
what it is?
Price?
Give me 2 seconds.
It does look very cool. I can definitely see that being used and work.
Please hold, caller.
Move on to other news. I shall do some research.
Right, while he's doing that, yay!
Yeah, good thing. Shut him up. Let's move on to something else.
You guys are bastards. I waited all week to do this.
You can do it. We'll let you do it. We'll let you do it. Don't worry. We're not that
do
mean.
it in a minute. Our friend Offensive Miniatures has launched a new range of French resistance fighters. There you go. They look quite sweet. I mean, they do some lovely figures.
Offensive Miniatures are really nice, aren't they?
Really, really good. So I think they're going to be available at Salute, I believe, which is next Saturday. If anybody's going there.
This Saturday, Dominic.
Yeah, it's Saturday coming.
This Saturday. We'll talk about that. Simon, are you at Salute or?
I'm not actually.
Warfare? Can you go to Warfare?
No. To be honest, I decided I was having got. Well, I was going to say 6 months behind with Renaissance. It's about 18 months behind. I thought I would take the entire winter off shows and just knuckle down and write Renaissance.
Oh.
So it's just going to be me at home writing Renaissance and playtesting Renaissance. So there you are, dull but practical.
Well, since it's Renaissance, we'll allow that excuse. You can stay at home.
Yeah, no, I've just really got to get it. I've just really got to get it out there.
Oh my goodness! I also saw that our friend Carl Meza is doing some new flags, which look absolutely awesome. Lots of flags. I think you can do. You might have to tell us in the chat, but I think you can do all the flags of war models, all nicely crinkly on the flagpole.
So you can request the level of billowing that you want. Eddie, believe on Meza's Miniatures, he's posted up the ranges that he's got. I'm not going to say what he does do, because last time I did this, he ended up getting I think people requesting stuff he didn't do. If you go onto
when in doubt, go on his website or ask.
Go on his website. I believe on there
he does do busts.
He does now. Now he does.
Does.
They do look good,
they are wicked, and they're just fantastic looking.
Yeah, awesome
they
stuff.
Look great.
Also, Gripping Beast have got a new load of Dark Age Irish.
I saw those
coming out, which will be available for pre-order. I think. Don't know whether you can collect them at Salute, but they'll certainly be on pre-order now.
They often do that. So
they often do, yeah. Although there is. I think they also said they're doing a price rise, which is a bit of a shame, but I guess that's inevitable. The way
he says you can have it billowy, flat, or limp.
There is no answer to that.
I even do them upside down if you want.
Just gonna leave it.
I was going to say that's one of those things where you've got the answer before the question. So billowy, flat, or limp. How did most people end CrackCon?
All three in my case. There you go. There's also these I showed on the Facebook page. Just amazing. These.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
12 mil, isn't they?
They're terrific. Those are lovely vehicles.
I just fell in love with those M10s. So I'm just going to have to do it.
Those.
Dom, do you know after you posted those? I was on YouTube checking out the Lardy's O Group videos.
Oh God, you didn't buy the book, did you, Steve?
And I had to turn it off because I was getting really, really, really interested.
They are very, very nice. I have to say, I've watched a couple of play tests and they do look good.
I definitely wasn't on the Victrix website today at all. No, sorry.
I don't go. So, Ken, you got a minute. 1 minute. I've literally got.
Oh yeah. I'm watching. I'm counting down as well. It's out. It's coming. I just want to point out we were absolutely 100% right.
Can we just? I'm just gonna shut him up because an hour is.
He's got it. But as we said, that Napoleonic map that came out, that's 6x4.
It is,
and isn't it? It's the whole battlefield. But anyway, forget that. This is cool. I mean, I know it's got a lot of people very, very excited. Apart from Ken, people that have already wanted to get into Napoleonics. Ken, you've got 20 seconds.
Yeah. So the 95th Rifles, they are doing them in skirmish, which is great. There's going to be Old Guard. There's going to be Prussians. There's going to be.
I'm happy about that.
Yeah, I know. I'm ecstatic. John, I think John Stallard kind of may have spilt the beans a bit too much on that podcast the other day. Basically said the whole range, didn't he? Apart from one sprue.
Considering, I think, considering time, a few things were revealed, weren't they? There you go. That was the stop.
Yeah.
But a few things got spoiled, didn't they? So, but maybe this is him just trying to, take the
my pre-orders in. But there's also, believe it or not, there's been rumours of a big red bat flying about.
There it is.
There it is.
Oh my word!
Apparently, there's some wizards on the back.
That is.
Yeah.
Is that a guy? That is the guy he's holding it in its tongue. That is amazing.
Oh yeah. It's
really cool, isn't it?
It's actually got a Sartorite held in its tongue. You see the hut it's based on there. Because it's such a big model and it was so high, I had to make a counterweight for it, and I got a metal junction box, and I melted down several hundred 28mm figures and put them in it. So it's kind of evil on that basis alone. It's just flying over a massive destroyed.
It's like a mass grave of
it's like a mass
figures.
Grave, yeah. It's like a war grave. It's got its own war grave carried around with it, and it's made out of. The structure is made out of coat hangers, and within that there's the metal that you use for repairing car doors. Like when you get a dent in a car door, when someone kicks through a car door, you put this metal foil over it, and the rest of it's all green stuff. Oh, and you can, if you look carefully, you can see those bumps on it. Those are the giant ticks that are running around that you have to fight if you want to try and attack the religious groups on the back.
That might be one of the best things I've ever seen. That is absolutely phenomenal.
That's Steve in a nutshell, isn't it? That is.
It doesn't get out much, but it's looking good, isn't it? It's looking
good. That is fantastic.
If I had that'd be sat outside my front door, scaring the shit out of people.
I'd have that. I'd have that on my window. I'd have that on the dashboard, looking out. That's what I was driving along at night. I want to. So I want to bring it back because obviously you sent me some awesome photos, and these are all the photos you sent me of games are in. These are all game like in progress games. I take it. So you sent me this one. Now I know that Ken and Steele like these, but I think that Dom is going to lose his mind. So again, this is Manchetta, isn't it?
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Jeez Louise.
Wept.
Yeah, that's the view from behind the British wagon lager. The wagon lager is about 3 foot long, and there are 2 or 3 lines of war bands that are 2 or 3 ranks deep in front of it, looking up the hill towards the Roman lines, which are anchored with a forest on each flank. That's a view from the side there, partway through a game. Now this was interesting because this was in the year that was the lead up to Brexit.
Was this a Salute?
It was a Salute.
I've seen this. Yeah,
I ran it at all the shows in the lead up to Brexit, and basically the Britons were in a doomed uphill charge against the European forces of Rome. And we correctly called the referendum, is all I can say, because they did win the majority of the battles. They won against all possible odds. They won 5 and drew 1 of the 8 battles that we.
That table was awesome. I remember seeing it.
Because this is, and I should probably say as well, if you guys want to check out more of Simon's stuff, if you go down below into the description, there's a link to Big Red Bat shop because these are the mats that you sell, right? These are the
yes. So that's on one of the mats that I sell. The mats come from Deep Cut in Lithuania. That particular mat is a gigantic mat. It's about 12 feet wide, and they're not currently making those, although recently, those are nice. Those are painted by my friend Sean Watson, Red Z. There were some vignettes on the battlefield. But
awesome.
yeah, the mats. If you're going to do a really big game that's like 18 or 20 feet wide, you ideally want an 18 or 20 foot wide mat. And I was lucky enough to be able to buy a lot before they weren't able to sell them anymore for manufacturing reasons. They changed their printer, but I'm given to believe they might be able to do some more. So I'm going to be talking to him after Salute about trying to get some more of the very big mats printed.
Awesome.
That is absolutely fantastic.
That was Mansetter. So that was a really enjoyable game that we played many times. I mean, I love any of the ancient battles, particularly Macedonians, Greeks, Romans. Obviously, Romans. Quite a few Roman armies. I have a lot of War Games figures. So yeah.
It's and as you said, so it's got quite, it has a tournament scene. It had, but it has casual play as well. And you sent me, so it's just great to see games, games in action here on because that's just a 6x4 board.
That's a 6x4 board, and it's a really great tournament format. Most tournaments, you go to a tournament and they're playing ancient games and they're playing 2 games a day. Well, we can just about fit in 4 games a day. Cool. Because the mechanics are quite fast, and that's my Indian army there. You can just about see it. I managed to work. I like to go a bit grandiose, as you saw from my big red bat. I managed to fit 16 war elephants onto that 6x4 table. You can see 4 of them. You can see 6 of them there. You can see just off. There's a couple of mine breaking through the enemy center there, just disappearing off into the distance. That's my Indian army. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun that day. Actually, it was really enjoyable day because it's nice to be able to go and play some games face to face with people again after so long.
That's what we found. So we which we've been babbling on about now for the is it been 3 weeks since we did it? It has been 3 weeks, hasn't it? So we held our own little gaming day, which we lovingly called CrackCon. But we had our own gaming day and we had lots of games there. But it was like, again, one of the things we're saying is like seeing it, like we're not even seeing everybody, but because Ken and Dom started this whole thing in lockdown, and the little community that's built up around this podcast in the Facebook is actually meeting them for the first time and playing all sorts of different games. So much so that I believe we're going to have we are having a CrackCon 2 next year. So if you're around, there'll be a space for To the Strongest. If you're available to come and show it, then definitely. I think judging from the comments, there's quite a few people that want to try. And that is absolutely fantastic. Well, awesome. I mean, if so. I'm going to ask you about this. Because funny enough, I know you mentioned this to me, but then it also got mentioned again when people are asking me, is there thoughts of like a second edition, or because you're working on so many current things, is that just no? There will be just be we'll just keep rolling with it and see what happens.
No, there definitely. I definitely intend there to be a second edition. Unfortunately, as Renaissance has shown, I'm a very deliberate writer, and for deliberate read, extremely slow. So I've written a lot of second edition. Is already written, but I need to publish Renaissance first. I then probably want to do something for the late 17th century. And then before I can release a second edition, I need to rewrite the 275 army lists, which is a task so Herculean. I mean, like talk about cleaning out the Augustan stables or whatever. It's a vast exercise.
No, I can't imagine that. I mean, we sort of between ourselves here dabble lightly in rules and writing. Me and Ken have been speaking about some stuff which we won't share yet. But I've been sort of writing my own campaign system, like a generic campaign system that can be used with any war game. So you can use this campaign system, and then you could use To the Strongest to fight your battles, or you could use Hail Caesar or anything like that. So it's a complete generic system. But the number of times where I write something, like, oh, that's a cool mechanic. Oh, hang on, no, now that's going to affect something else that I've written, something else. Now I've got to play it out, and then all of a sudden it bears no relation to what I originally looked at. And to be honest, I enjoy it. I mean, I'm always forever scribbling down. If you look on the inside of the flap in the car, I've got loads of bits of paper up and scribbling. So I tend to think about things while I'm driving. And I quickly have to scribble it down or write little diagrams. So my wife will be going, and all these bits will fall out. She's like, "What is this crap?" You know, you've just drawn lots of pictures of dice.
It's funny. I have some of my best ideas when I'm driving because you're just away from everything that distracts you. Yeah.
I'd like to say I still concentrate on the road before anyone says I do discuss.
So it's coming back to version 2. I mean, it's definitely at least a couple of years away. I mean, a lot of the mechanics will be the same as the ones in Renaissance, as long as people like the mechanics in Renaissance. If I'm pursued around wargame shows by an angry mob of wargamers with pitchforks screaming through murder, then probably I'll have to revise them again. But I think that all the experience I've had of writing rules over the last 5 years or so is in the Renaissance rules, and I think people will like them. I'm very confident people will like them. And then it will be logical to re-engineer the same rules. And I have written the same. So where I've written the Renaissance rules, obviously it's mostly about arquebuses and cannon and things like that. We've got all the rules for elephants and scythe chariots and whatever that you need for ancients is there. It will have the same engine, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen for at least 2 years. And I have been telling people that the version 2 is at least 2 years away for at least the last 3 years. And it still is at least 2 years away. So,
can I ask one question about it?
Yes.
Will the physical product still be ring bound? Because I love that.
Yeah. I do. I just do. I found a local printer that will do me a reasonably small print run. I could get it done more cheaply abroad, but it's really easy. They'll do me 200 copies. I meant to take you a picture of my dining room, which is basically the space under the dining room table is occupied with boxes of books. I can't do big print runs. I haven't got anywhere to store them, so I'll be sticking with that.
It is. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know we've talked about it sometime. I love a big hardback rule book. I've got some, my best, but when it comes to gaming, I want to lie it flat or I want to fold it, and move it. So if it's spiral bound, which I think I have Impetus as well, and they do similar thing. And I never realised this sounds really crazy, but what a big difference it made to my enjoyment of the game when I haven't broken the spine on books. Maybe I'm being too rough on my books. I don't know.
Spiral bound and about 80 pages is where it's going to go, because 80 pages you can fit it in a 500-gram postal envelope. It's a strange thing, but that. If you go over 80 pages, it's just not as economical to post it.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So they'll all be in. All my books are going to be in the 60 to 80 page spiral bound range.
That sounds good. That sounds fantastic. Well, I think we're at that portion of the evening where we should show some photos of what the community have been doing, because I didn't actually realise that we've only got like 10 minutes left. so remember, guys, you can find links to all of our channels down below. So you come and have a look at those. You can also find a link to the Plastic Crank Podcast Facebook group. So come along and join that. Then post up your pictures in there, and you'll find. I was about to say you'll get exclusive information. You won't. You'll just get Ken and me just babbling on about various things. And then Steve posting up turnips, and then Dom posting up 6 armies a week or something like that. And also down below, as already said, you can find a link to Simon's shop, and you also need to search. It's the Big Red Bat Cave, the blog.
The Big Red Bat Cave. If you Google that, there's a fabulous tab down the right. You can see anything I've ever done on there.
Fantastic. We'll have a look at. Well, we have had some absolutely fantastic stuff on the group. Now, I apologize. There's been loads of stuff that was sent. So
It was a fair amount, wasn't it?
I went back. No, I went back as well to the start.
The levels of the numbers of postings have gone through the roof.
That's it. So I'll start with now. If I forget what some of these things are, I apologize. I have tried to remember. So we start with Alistair, and this is I believe this is this is Jacobites, and there are hex bases, which is very cool. But look at it. There's also, of course, as well. I know a lot of you are posting up multiple photos, but if you're in the Facebook group, then have a search. But I thought that was wicked,
amazing.
I thought that absolutely
fantastic. Are they 10 or 15?
I think like 15s.
I can't remember that. See, the thing is, there's only so much room in the file name that I can write the information down. I left the scale out. I think they're 10s, but they are
absolutely stunning.
They are wicked, aren't they? Andres, I think this is his first time posting.
Oh yes.
You've got some good old Hanoverians, the bane of the old guard in our games, at least.
The old guard killers.
10 mil
Pendragon.
Right.
There you go.
Cheers, mate.
There we go. Oh, lovely. But wicked. So no, thank you very much for posting. And guys, just go for it. Just post something, even if it's work in progress. Just send it, because it's really good. We get a lot of finished models on there, but sometimes I really like seeing how people are sort of doing works in progress, because you can get ideas as well. We've got Andrew, who's there we go. I think it's a Firefly.
Oh yes.
That's lovely.
Oh, that's some gore on that as well.
There's quite a lot of blood on that one, isn't there?
Yeah, just a tad.
Very cool. No, that's wicked. Corey, his Saga Warband. Now, I liked his because he said he messed up some of the decals for the shields, so he went and hand painted them, and I got to say they look fantastic.
Yeah, I saw that.
What? Some of them are hand painted.
Yeah, I think the ones that he said, the ones on the half guard, so the front 8.
Get away!
Are
good, man.
They are awesome. Really, of course, good. That's Saga. So that's a good old 4 points Saga Warband. A good starting. I think that might actually be exactly the one that I have. But it's a different warlord. I think so. That's wicked. Carl, Blood and Plunder civilians. I got to stop looking at stuff for this game because I'm just gonna buy it. Like when it comes out, that 2-player starter set with the shit 28mm.
Is that the plastic pirate one?
It's the plastic pirate one that you can buy 28mm plastic galleons for.
Let's stop talking about that straight away.
How many turnips can you fit in a galleon, Steve?
I love them. The Christmas on those highlights makes them pops. I mean, the purple dress looks fantastic.
I love the guy smoke. I assume he's smoking. That is a pipe that he is smoking.
Yeah. I'm thinking of Zorro. Actually, with that one,
Sergeant
Zorro.
Oh, the one who always the hard done upon sergeant who's always absolutely. Miller Landschnecks.
Hey, he's painted some.
He has, and I think I can't remember. I think it was you and Matt that he blamed in his video. Like talked him around and inspired him to get on with it. Those are wicked because, I mean, I love these, but I can't. I know that I'll go down some kind of hole. I'm already down too many holes. I don't need another hole to go down. But those are absolutely awesome. So he's just done a video update on these as well, so go check that out. Dave Carlton, I think he's done this for Lion Rampant, and this is I think 100 Years War figures. In fact, they are, because I can tell because the longbows are long.
They're long, yes, they're long longbows. Unless he's kit bashed than mine.
He might have done, but that is very cool. They are very nice. I love the colours on the on the longbowman.
Do you know what I like about that is that they're muted. They're not in your face. They look proper. They look a bit grimdark. There's something about them I really like.
Proper grungy.
Yeah,
that is very
and great yellows as well, Dave. Fantastic yellows.
We have some French Foreign Legion for Team Yankee.
Ooh,
which is cool. So like I said, works in progress are a welcome. So I like to see how things look before they get based. But Team Yankee, someone's going to be getting into that, aren't they, Ken?
Yes, tank wise, I am. Yeah, definitely. I'm going to paint this starter set up for sure.
You're not
going to make me bite mine.
No, why not? Why not? I might not. I just remembered another piece of news, but I'll come to that at the end because for some reason I've put it in the wrong section. Drew, the Warlord Games Classic Ashigiri, and I say you've done an amazing job with those because I got so frustrated with mine. I just whacked a wash on them, and I have a love-hate relationship with those models, and those look awesome. I mean, and you've based those for Test of Honor, so those are Sabbath bases. I can barely see.
You can hardly see the circles.
Yeah,
no, really well done.
He's done. I mean, they are wicked, and just damn you. And I'll have to make more effort when I do mine. And then just talk about it. Awesome, James. Check out his Warwick infantry. How cool are they?
Lovely.
I can't remember. Are they front rank? I think they're front rank. Pretty sure. I think they're front rank.
They look like they probably are front rank. Yes.
But wicked stuff for the Kingmaker. Always good. I am going to be making him. I had to put this up. Jim's been doing some terrain, and I just loved his work in progress. Not because it was just so funny when he put up his first and says, "I know it looks like a cow pat," and then he's going through his whole process for building it. So that is just absolutely awesome. Nathan, it's King's German Legion.
Very nice.
Which is very cool. We always like to see the KGL, unless you're French, in which case not so much. Matt Mail with the Victrix chariots.
Ooh.
Very nice. Very nice.
They're lovely. Really, really nice.
Don't want to turnip up some of those. Could you use them as could you stick some kind of vegetable catapult on the back of one of them? And
no, do you know what I was going to do? I was going to use those, and I was going to put like a giant parsnip or a carrot in the chariot.
Oh Jesus Christ! I saw that thing that you posted on your personal Facebook page. By the way, I'm surprised you didn't put that in here. That was like weird, like potato thing that you put on there.
I'd forgotten all about that, and I found it in. I was looking through some old photographs, and I found that I had that in my kitchen for 9 months.
Mark, Commandos.
Oh, nice. Very
nice.
nice.
Very cool.
Nice.
I love the faces.
Is that the new Warlord kit? Is it?
Yes,
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
nice.
Come out very well. Yeah, I really like the muted cut. I just think they were really cool, especially the guy kneeling down. His face is just wicked.
I bought some of those this week. Painted actually. Yeah, painted from Nick. Nick. Nick's. Oh God.
Yep, Nick.
British Legion. British Legion.
Yeah. Oh right, yeah. Sorry, to say Nick. Yeah.
There's quite a lot of Nicks out there, but
British Legion. Nick. Yeah.
Paul. Oh, Paul.
They're lovely. Paul does some good work, doesn't he? Jeez.
I know. And I thought he'd make you happy, Don, because there's a dead French guy there, but then there's a dead British guy behind the other one.
I was going to say there's one of each flavour, so it's all fine.
That is the first time I remember when you guys talked about me. The very first time you guys talked about me, you had Leon on the channel, and you were debating that base I made where the British guy was getting bayoneted.
Yes, right.
And then you asked me on the next. That's what I remember. James's girlfriend Philippa, her first miniature.
Very nice.
That's impressive.
I know. That makes me think I need to do a lot more highlighting on my models. That's for a first miniature. That's fantastic. I'll be proud of that now. Mm-hmm. So that is fantastic. That's awesome. And then Haley hasn't started the next teddy bear yet, but she was saying that she'll try and get that done in the next week or two. But she doesn't know whether to do one of the Romans or the Celtic one. So, but of course, Dom, she saw your panda one, and she wants to do them as pandas. So, one of my favorite, Paul. This is Cromwell's cavalry. And there's some more ECW cavalry down there. So I always enjoy seeing these. They're the Warlord kit with the Cromwell on the end. Set to work, choose brushes to do. Phil Dent. You see, he's not quite sure what I think he said in his post. He wasn't sure. They're not as good. He didn't mean for them to come out glossy. It's just a photo. So some British troops coming in there. Nice. Just wanting to play around.
Nice job, those.
Nice.
Camo looks very, very cool. Steve Beckett. He's done this for Baron's War. Very nice. Fantastic figures.
Footsore ones, aren't they? They're beautiful.
I really need to work on my white.
I was going to say, looking at that white, that is just. I mean, having seen those Burrows and Badgers last week, and then seeing Steve's work there, I need to work on improving my my white because I'm not very good at it.
Well, speaking about white, we'll come to one in just a second. But here's Roy, more ECW cavalry. This is Waller's regiment.
Oh, lovely.
Those are great.
That's fantastic, and they would fit very well into a to the strongest grid square, right?
I think they would, but you can. Yeah, I think they're about 15 centimeters wide from what I can see there.
Perfect.
Yeah, very nice.
There you go. Let's be right. Robin, look at his Austrians. Look at those.
Do you know what?
White on that.
I thought they were 28 mil, and they're not.
They're not.
Are they not?
They're not.
What?
No.
The AB ones, aren't they?
AB.
That's at 18.
Yeah.
Oh,
Shut up.
Yeah.
Well, now I feel even sadder. I was like, oh, I wish I could do like that, and now they're 18 mil, so I'm gonna.
Yeah. As soon as I saw them, I thought fantastic, and then when I read the scale, I was like, bloody hell, they're really, really
look
good.
Look at Miller, sport for ECW.
He's a happy man this week.
We're celebrating your 500 subs, mate. That's why we're doing special
ECW special. Sam, he's done some Wars of the Roses miniatures. He said he just did a generic red livery on them, so he could use them. But I mean, it just has to be Warwick.
That's a lovely matte colour.
It's fantastic. I like the building. I love the building.
I like the building too.
Great. Yeah, that's really good.
It's fantastic. Where's that from? If you're watching, where's that from? Tony Phillips,
light infantry French.
There we go. Very, very nice. And the next one, Stephen Brewster, who's for the last few weeks or months rather has been putting up his Age of Sigmar models with all the really awesome colours. Look at I like. He said, he's just. I think that's fantastic, especially as a force. That is absolutely fantastic. I just love the colours. I think it's just
colours on that are just, oh my word, they are fantastic.
Happy days.
I'm putting up the next one now. I don't think this is something that Tarquin has painted this week. He's just put this up, and this nearly broke me.
I knew this would.
I nearly broke. Just saving that picture was hard. Basically, Simon, I'm trying to resist starting, or it's not going to. I am going to do it. It's just I don't want to start it just yet. I want to get someone else's. The next one, another Lord of the Rings figure, Stig playing around with oil washes on that troll. That is just phenomenal. I think that's absolutely wicked. The mat on the armor.
I was going to say
awesome.
That armor is so good. It's painful to look at. Painful.
It is fantastic. And then finally, we have Warren. I think these 172nd. I think they are.
I think
I want to say they are. Some half tracks. I mean, their camo is fantastic. So, thank you everybody who has sent in photos. That's absolutely fantastic. We love seeing them. So, remember, if you want to post them up, just come over to the Facebook group or email them in. You've got the email address down below. And I should probably say, if you enjoyed it, hit the like button. I forgot to say that right at the start. So, if you managed to last to the end, if you liked it, give it a like. It does help. But thank you everyone for sticking around. Simon, thank you very, very much for
thank you guys. It's been really, really enjoyable. It's lovely to get out and no, it's been terrific. I've had a lot of fun.
That's fantastic.
I would love talking about wargaming and figures.
Well, you're always welcome back.
Well, give me a shout. I'll come back. I'll come back. I might even come to your festival next year.
Yeah. We'll do it. And we'll see how many. Just bring along a few copies to sell as well. That's like
yes, I could do that.
There's one more question, Simon. Do you varnish or not varnish?
Back in the day, I used to put on a coat of gloss varnish and then 2 coats of matte varnish.
Yeah.
But I was so much older then. I'm younger than that now. These days, I picked up a trick off David Imrie. I use acrylic washes. I buy these big bottles of Kryler clear acrylic matte stuff, and I put Army Painter dark tone into it.
Okay. So it does it 2-in-1 sort of thing.
Do the 2-in-1. So I usually go. I usually give them a quick blitz with a very dark highlight, maybe under hats, around the eyes, and where I want to bring out a bit of detail. And then I use then I put a coat of pretty clear, or with just a little bit of a brown in it over the top, and then let it dry for a couple of days, because it does take a while to dry.
Yeah.
But it's pretty matte and it's very easy. And also, my wife doesn't hate the smell of it, so that's a really major factor.
I think you get a +1 for varnish there, mine.
It's a really major factor, because I do all my painting next to her in front of the TV, so it wouldn't be popular.
I'll let you in onto something though, Ken. I ain't varnished a model in like 3 months.
Hey!
I sat there the other day looking at them going, in fact, the only models I've varnished are the ones holding flags, because I've been varnishing the flags to get them the way I do. This is the way I do my flags, because I do my flags from scratch. I don't know. So that's it. But
they might be too billowy, far.
Oh, don't even start. We'll just
remember,
anyway.
Folks, go on. I was going to say, remember, folks. There's only one proper way to varnish, and that's the Perry way. Don't varnish.
See, that was a moment. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Next week who's next week? It's
me.
It's Ken. It's Ken next week. So that'll be over on his channel, 8 PM on Monday.
I wonder what we'll be talking about.
No,
we're not. No, we're not. Don't worry, we're not doing that.
It'll just be you. It'll literally just be you
talking to himself as usual about Epic.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us on the stream. Thank you again, Simon, for taking the time to join us. And we will see you all again next week. We don't have an outro because Ken hasn't made one yet. So we will leave you all. Thank you very much. Take care. We will see you all again soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.